Yo, 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 yo. What's good, y'all? Ty Butler in the house here on this Wednesday in New York City as we are waiting for the damn snow to just keep melting. But we're also waiting for a lot of these trades to take front and center. NBA trade deadline in about 22 hours. So I thought it was apropos to bring Zak Noble, ballislife.com. You still doing your stuff on ballislife.com, Zach?
I am, yeah. Yep. I've been doing it for about 7, 8 years now. And this is the third iteration of it, but we've been together for about 2 years, about 100 shows in. It's been good.
I love it, man. So, one thing I love about NBA Twitter is it creates, relationships just based on like takes, right? And we all feel like we know the league, so we all just interact, even though we've never met. So this is actually the first time I've met you. So I appreciate you joining the show, Zach. Hit him up at Zak Noble. He is on Twitter at ZAKNOBLE. First time on the show, man. I really appreciate you hopping on here.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely.
Like
So
interacting and always good to talk shop, especially this time of year.
yeah, 22 hours into the NBA trade deadline. I want to talk James Harden because we had a big disagreement yesterday. But before we get there, make sense of this Anthony Davis thing to me. Look, and I'll tee you up by saying this. I like it for the Wizards, sneaky, right? Because now they're looking toward the future. This year's shot, obviously, they want to keep that pick that they would owe the Knicks, so they're just going to rest everyone. But Trey Young, Anthony Davis, in theory, in a weaker Eastern Conference, sounds like it could be something. But we all know with the injury history of AD and now Trey Young, who's not, who has depreciated as an asset over the last couple of years, can't really bank on that. But in theory, man, I like it.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's not going to be the weak East for too long, I don't think. You got AD and Trey pairing up. You got Harden helping make the Cavs better, hopefully. And the Bulls are looking to get better. I mean, I think they're going in the right direction, moving things around. But Giannis, we'll see what happens with him if he stays in the East. I think there's a lot of hope for the East to get better. I personally like the move by the Wizards because they're one of those teams that they're not going to attract any big time free agents. So the trade market is where you got to go get a big fish. They haven't landed the centerpiece to their core through the draft either. They've drafted pretty terribly in my estimation.
Yeah.
I do like Trey Johnson. I think he's got a lot of upside, but I'm not a fan of really like anybody else's ceiling. Sar, I mean, he's a good role player, good piece. Koulibaly, same thing. Bud Carrington, like, yes, good pieces to put around AD and Trey Young for sure, but I just don't think they had anything before those two got there. So now, if those guys even develop a little more, I think they could be a real contender if AD stays healthy.
And a top 5 pick, right? Like in this upcoming draft, because they're terrible. And based on what we saw in last year's draft, now we don't know what that's gonna end up being, but could be a home run hit for Washington. On the flip side, I know it's become redundant, but man, Luka Doncic, like almost a year ago, getting traded and seeing what it has become for the Mavs, like it's such a disaster. And I feel bad for Mavs fans, like going to the finals and feeling like even though it came by a surprise, like no one picked Dallas to get there. Once you're there, it's like, all right, let's take advantage of what we've done and build around that, and have your heart ripped out from you. It's just devastating. And to get 1 year of AD where you really didn't get a year because of all the injuries, and now Kyrie's hurt, so they're going into let's try to build around Cooper Flag. What a mess for Dallas, bro.
I think they came out pretty good with Cooper Flag. I definitely think they deserved that. The fan base did. The ownership, I mean, didn't develop that good of karma trading an all-time great in Luka. But, I mean, no fans deserve getting screwed like that, in my opinion. Like, that was just the worst trade of all time, and it's looking even worse. I mean, you got guys like Desmond Bain, Mikal Bridges,
Oh
Jerry
my lord.
Jackson Jr., Rudy Gobert, all going for more than AD and
And Luca, yeah.
Luka in general. It's just crazy to think about, but I think Cooper Flag's going to be a great piece. That's all you can hold your head on right now. I mean, Kyrie is a great player. It's just, will he ever get to play with Cooper? Do we get to see that, or are
Yeah.
they going to ship him out at the deadline here? There's some smoke brewing as well.
Maybe Klay Thompson, right?
Right. Clay should be out. I mean, I'd like to see Clay on a contender helping somebody out, but yeah, they don't have anything besides Cooper right now to build a young core, so they're in a bad spot. I think Kyrie Irving should land somewhere just in time to make a playoff run. We'll see. I'm hoping if the Wolves strike out on Giannis, Kyrie comes to Minnesota.
Or yeah, there's some smoke around. Mike Conley, he's gonna get bought out, so maybe he goes back to Minnesota. Lonzo, it looks like he's gonna get waived. I'm looking at Houston too.
Oh, that'd be
They
sick.
they, they need a point guard. Um, And so the Rockets, it's going to be interesting to see like the buyout market and trades for them as well, because that's a team that if not for the Adams and Van Vliet injuries, I put them just a notch below Oklahoma City out there in the West. And Denver's got Jokic back. They play the Knicks tonight, so they're coming along. Obviously, the Spurs, we're all wowed by them. So the top of the West should be exciting. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they could win 2 rounds right now without a guard, but like to get to the conference finals, yeah, I don't really see that. I mean, being competitive there with this roster, I think they're having a hard time considering trading Van Vliet's salary too, because
Yeah.
they think KD should be good for at least one more year. He's shown great enough signs where he's not tailing off too much, but
Mhm.
no, they desperately need something to compete this year. I believe in what they got outside of the point guard situation. I thought Reed Shepherd should have
Mhm.
developed a little quicker, but I mean, he's not the point guard they need right now.
Yeah, it's hard to win 4 playoff rounds without, like, a true point guard, especially in the league the way it is set up now. Like, you need a shot creator, and they just don't have that. Speaking of shot creators, man, James Harden going to the Cavs, and I've got 2 takes on it that might sound conflicting. One, I do think the Cavs got better, and this is no shot at Darius Garland, who I think still at a young age, 26, can go on to become a great player. It's just like between the injuries, the size, and him playing with Mitchell, like that defense was such a disaster. It's just hard for them to, find enough and win multiple playoff rounds. And we've seen them struggle, especially in that half court offense. And then last year was injuries, Hunter and Garland. So I think they got better because at this point, I say James is better than Darius Garland. But bro, you have to be honest. Like, it's not unfair. It's not clickbait to say that one of the greatest players we've ever seen in James Harden, who's an MVP, a scoring champion, first team All NBA guy, year after year after year, has consistently fallen short in the playoffs. And yes, sometimes it's injury, CP3. We understand that. But other times it's like, what happened in that Spurs series? What happened? I'll go back to 2012, as I told you about what happened in that
That
game.
don't count.
It does count. It's on his resume. Like, that stuff matters, especially. And I would hear you if from there like, the narrative changed. But when we see what you have become, that that is evidence that yeah, we should have seen earlier. Like that was not just write it off because he's such a young player. What happened in that game 7? I know Tatum scored 50, but in the game 7 against the Celtics, and so it's not unfair, man, to say James Harden's a playoff choker. James Harden also multiple times has quit on his teams.
All right. So first of all, I think that where people like it's so easy to just call somebody a label, like choker. That's the label people want to put on them. Well, here's the thing. Every person besides literally MJ LeBron, KD, and maybe like an Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis injuries, like Anthony Davis's playoffs numbers are historically great. Everybody else should be considered a choker in that regards. If you compare Harden to everybody that's in the Harden, I'm a historian. Like I've had a running list of top 100 players for, I don't know, 20, not 20 years, but like 15 years, let's say. And I'm constantly updating that. I'm a psycho like that. But I don't compare Harden to the T1 guys. That's the biggest thing. Like when you're talking like what you just did, you expect Harden to be great every single time. I've never thought, I mean, yes, I gave him a little bit of a chance to become that tier 1 guy in Houston early on, but he quickly faded from that tier 1 to me. So it's all about expectations, what you have on somebody and comparing them to that. So the expectations for him were honestly, he's never lost to a team that he necessarily should have beat with a healthy team. He's had a contender for like 5 games on the Clippers. The team was fully healthy. The Nets, they looked like a real contender, one of the greatest teams of all time when they went on that 26-5 run, but they weren't fully healthy in the playoffs. But if you look at the overall playoff numbers of James Harden, they're historically really good. Yes, he's had his blemishes on his game 6 and game 7, but it's a 7-game series for a reason. You can be a great playoff performer and not be a great elimination guy, even though his elimination games aren't as bad as some others. They're not great. Don't get me wrong. They're not great, but he has had a couple 40-point elimination games with that too. I mean, the Sixers wouldn't have won a playoff series if it wasn't for James Harden. They wouldn't even made the second round. Like the last 6 years, these teams wouldn't even be playoff teams if it wasn't for James Harden. He's a floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser. It's just understanding the light you're comparing him to. I will never compare James Harden to the LeBrons or the tier 1 guys, the Jokic. I mean, it's when you're comparing him to this tier of other guys, yeah, he is better. He is like the best player you can compare him to, honestly, like that. The numbers look very similar. Like all time in the playoffs, Steph Curry's numbers aren't very much better. Steph Curry has had just a better situation and a franchise that stood by him. And I'm a Steph Curry guy. Steph Curry is like my 3rd or 4th favorite player of all time. But they're not that much better than Harden. They really aren't.
Listen, so the problem with that analysis is you're saying that you're not going to compare him to tier 1 guys, but that's only a product of what he has shown you in the playoffs, because in theory he should, as someone who has finished top 5 in MVP 6 times in his career, should be a tier 1 superstar. There's a reason why he was talked about in the prime of his career as not just one of, but the greatest scorer of all time. People were saying, people were putting him up there with Kobe Bryant. That's how sensational he was, to your point, during regular seasons. But come the playoffs, this dude is averaging, what did I see, 22 and a half points a game. All of his
eliminations only.
But 22 and a half points a game for one of the greatest scorers of all time, for a guy who 6 times in his career has had a top 5 MVP finish, where all of his efficiency numbers are down. That's just undeniable. And at first we thought, yeah, like the team isn't good enough, right? Like we saw, some of those Rockets teams early on weren't good enough. And I guess he gets the built-in excuse of Chris Paul getting hurt in that Warriors series. But talk to me about Game 6 against the Spurs with no Kawhi. Talk to me about
the Spurs series. If I was to put one big asterisk on his entire playoff resume, it's that Spurs series for sure. Yeah, I will admit that wholeheartedly. And that's where, like, I mean, but that was early on too, when he was just becoming the guy. So normally I give a pass to players in their first couple playoff appearances, 1 or 2, really. But overall, again, I mean, even if he was at his best, I mean, he'd have to literally be LeBron or Jokic
But
to literally overcome.
he should have been in the conversation, not LeBron, who to me is the greatest player of all time, but he
Oh,
should have,
easy.
based on what we had seen from Harden during the regular season. He absolutely would have been in that conversation had he delivered in the playoffs. That is undeniable because
No, but,
he's on the wrong list now, Zach.
right.
He is on that list of greatest players to never win a championship. And I go back
The
to
greatest.
that game 7 against the Bucks in 2021. And it's, oh well, his hamstring. My man hit just a shot. The Nets, Kevin Durant was doing
Everybody else
everything.
gets
They
injury
needed Harden
passes.
to hit one shot in overtime. Just
Right.
hit one shot. And he couldn't do that.
I mean, the hamstring was turned out to be pretty real. I mean, it lingered
Yeah,
even in.
and how about the game 7 against the Warriors?
Yeah, and so
27
he needs
straight.
to be.
A great player like that can't have that happen on his watch.
Here's
27 straight missed threes
here's
can't
my biggest
happen.
problem with James Harden is for being a number 2 guy. Like he's proven he can't be a number 1 guy on a championship team. We've known that. He's picked the wrong horses to pair himself with. In order to actually like, he's left all these teams at the right time, and a lot of them, like this last one, it wasn't even a trade demand, wasn't his call by any means. I mean, it was mutual a little bit, but he chooses these older stars to latch on to. This is the first time he's latched on to somebody that's been healthy most of his career and has been a pretty decent playoff performer for the most part, and Donovan Mitchell. But Donovan Mitchell's probably in the same James Harden tier from a playoff performer standpoint. Like everybody declines in the playoffs. I mean, the only guys that rise really are Luka, LeBron, and like I said, Anthony Davis and KD's
Jordan,
numbers are.
and Jordan.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm talking current day.
No, but you're being very, you're being very, I would call it meticulous in how you articulate that, because you're saying for the most part, and you're right, like judged up against your regular season, a lot of the all-time greats, like if you just looked at their numbers, we would see some type of a decline. The problem is his is significant, and one of the most significant we've seen from any great player. And all I've heard during this podcast has been like you defending him. It's, well, the OKC series doesn't count because he was young. Well, that series doesn't count because there were injuries. It also is, James choosing the wrong. Come on, man, choosing the wrong teammates. You're an MVP of the league. Is it too much to ask you to not go 2 of 15 in a
Well,
do or die game?
that's why he's not in the top 10, 15 player conversation ever, and he's in the top 20.
He's got to
Right.
get blamed for that.
Correct.
But when I said that
talk
yesterday,
about this guy like he's not even a top 25, 30 guy of all time, and they talk like he's had shitty seasons these last few years.
no, he hasn't. But
thank you. That's good.
But when I point out he's a playoff choker.
Yeah, he's not a choker. He's just he declines. He's not as good.
That's a choker.
A choker is somebody that just sucks.
Dude, when you give me
Darius Garland sucks in the playoffs. Like that guy's averaged 13 points per game in elimination games.
My man, for a 5-year stretch, he averaged 29, 29, 30, 36, 34. And then in the playoffs during that stretch, all of those numbers declined.
He
was all down. So that's choking. I'm sorry, man. That's choking.
Team averages in general too. If you look at that, team averages normally go down in general because the game slows down in the playoffs. Defense clamps up in the playoffs. He was averaging 27, 29, 29, 32, 30 in those stretches too in the playoffs. So,
and turning the ball over left and right. And just not being able to come up in the clutch. Like, we watch those series, so we remember them. And that's the part about this that I take exception most to. you acting like it's clickbait and it's, negative Nelly. No, we're
It is for the
we
most
are
part because people
we are
just want to put it in one category, make it definitive. Like
we
the guy, there's so much context and nuance. Like he hasn't been terrible, but he hasn't been great either. Like
we are narrating a playoff career that we watched. Like we literally just watched it. So it's not like, hey, you guys are cherry picking. We've seen it. And I saw my man Nick Wright had a graphic on his television show. He's got 22 playoff games where he's made under 5 field goals. For an MVP, for a guy that great, that is an absolute disaster. That's choking.
Steph's got like 15. I mean,
Steph's got rings.
you're right, but Steph also played with prime KD and Clay.
Yeah,
and
but
Draymond.
Steph's got the game 4 in the 2022 finals against the Celtics. He's got the game, what was it? The game 6 against Harden's Rockets, where he had 0 in the first half and then erupted in the second half.
And people would be talking about Harden's 50 and 40-point playoff games too if his number one option would have showed up and got him to that next round.
Oh man, this is bad. Like the caping for Harden, like I am not arguing he's a bad player. I am not arguing that he's.
You're saying he's a choker, and I'm not willing to put that title. He underperforms in a couple elimination games here and there. Yeah, he absolutely does.
A couple of elimination games here and there. Come on, man. Like that's just. We can get.
But to say he's terrible in the playoffs, many of like what people want to say is the guy's a terrible playoff player, and the numbers I just said, like.
He's got a lot of 3 for 16, 3 for 17, 3 for 20, 3 for 14.
Efficiency goes down in the playoffs. Absolutely.
It does, but not to that extent is what I'm telling you. Not to that extent for a player that great. You cannot be that great and have those numbers in the playoffs and us not be allowed to call you a playoff choker. That is, we are now having an unfair assessment of great players. If that's the standard, then no one's a playoff choker. We said it about LeBron in that Magic series when he averaged
like Paul George. That's a guy I would consider a playoff choker.
But Paul George is not on the same. He's not on the same level as Harden.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
So we are going to analyze guys differently. Like in every sport, we do that.
Right, when but nobody talks about the blemishes on Steph and like. Steph doesn't carry the type of rosters Harden's carried in the regular season. Like, yes, Harden's a way better regular season performer than he is in the playoffs. But like, he's not a bad playoff performer either. And
people talked about Steph, which is why that 2022 championship essentially like validated in a lot of people's eyes, validated his career. They were like, man, 2015 don't really count because of Love and Irving's injuries. Then we had the system kind of get hacked.
There's injuries every year.
But people were saying that about Steph, which is why 2022 was so important for his career. So when you do the Steph Harden comparisons, it doesn't really make sense when we've seen Steph. That 2022 Warriors team wasn't expected to win a championship at the beginning of the year. They were an incredible defense that got hot and had contributions from a lot of those young cats.
That was always really high.
Yeah, Klay Thompson was coming off of an injury. Like that team wasn't great, and then they got hot, and Kerr's excellent, and their defense was outstanding. And so when you compare the criticism from Steph that yes was present to Harden, Steph validated it by winning again. And so again, like. When you're giving me 3 for 16, 4 for 16, 3 for 20, 3 for 17 across the board, and you're trying to ignore what happened in that finals in 2012, it just feels to me like you're being unfair, like overwhelmingly unfair in favor of Harden. That's all I'm saying.
All good. I mean, that's your take. I mean, I will say this, though. I don't think his path, I think Steph's path was very easy that go around to get there. Yes, he was dominant, uh, but the path to get to that championship was very easy, and the team fit him absolutely perfectly, and good health. Like, I think rosters either are really good talent wise or they're really balanced and you got perfect fits. And that was a perfectly fitting, very deep roster. Uh, and they
So they
came
were good
together
enough to win
at,
those
at the
Rockets
right time.
teams were good enough to win 50 plus games in the one seed, but all of a sudden roster wasn't good enough come the playoffs. Like I
It
don't
was an
get how we're
absolute carry job. I mean, you got guys like Josh Smith, Monajunas,
yeah,
Tariq Black. Like,
yeah,
give
guys
me a
like
break. That was
Dwight,
one of the
yeah,
best carry jobs.
uh-huh. Guys like Dwight Howard and CP3 and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and Joel Embiid, like guys like Kawhi, like yeah, he's played with great players, great players. And if we want to keep it a stack, man, what he
But
did
Joel
in
Embiid's a
Brooklyn,
choker. That guy's a playoff choker.
how about yeah, absolutely correct. And how about in Brooklyn? They had an opportunity to, if that team stays together, still contend. And he quit on them, just like he quit on the Rockets, just like he quit on the Sixers.
No, Kyrie quit on them, but he also left. I mean, yeah, that's the one team. Like, I would say, like, I mean, that was his best team on paper, but
And he quit
I
on
mean,
them.
he didn't know. Nobody knew in that time, like, if Kyrie was going to be out for a whole another year, whatever. And um,
Man,
but
so you don't blame Harden for anything. It's just
oh,
everyone
no,
else's
no, no,
fault.
I like
It's always
when
everyone else's fault.
no, 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 no. I mean, definitely the playoff performances. I mean, of course, everybody can always be better. He's not to go blameless in all these situations, but like, people act like this guy's a bad teammate. He always asking
No,
for out. Like, I'm
I
not
don't
saying
think.
you. I'm not saying you here. I'm not calling you out. I'm
Okay,
calling, this is the general narrative around James Harden when it comes to, oh, this guy's a drama queen. He's always, honestly, he's had a bunch of bad situations, but he's also maybe gotten a little greedy and team hopped a little bit too much. But um,
yeah,
yeah, I think a part of this, like, this part of this last move is like the dude legitimately is trying to prolong his career. And he knows if you start going down the Russell Westbrook path of minimum deals, you start becoming a bench player. You start be getting on really shitty teams. You keep, and soon you're out the league. Like, and Isaiah Thomas. I mean, yes, these guys are more talented for sure, but like, this is how the star path goes down. As soon as you start taking lesser deals, like, it's way easier for the league to get rid of you.
how about you just play better in the playoffs? Is that too much to ask for a player of his
He's
caliber?
already proven he's not that guy. So what? Why do we keep expecting him to be that guy?
Well,
Like,
because
I
you
gave him
should.
the chance for the first couple of years. He proved he wasn't a top tier guy, so I'm not going to compare him against the top tier guys.
Okay, but okay, so I think we can find some common ground here because I just pulled up on the screen. I mean, 1 for 10. That was the Bucks game that we talked about. 2 for 8, 2 for 12, 2 for 14, 2 for 18. I mean,
What
come
are you
on.
looking at right now?
It's on the screen. You can't see it.
No, it's too small
Uh,
for my
I pulled it up on the
small
screen, but
eyes.
I have the highlighted column of his field goal makes in his playoff games.
No, I've looked at these
And you
countless times.
see,
Like,
there's a ton, but
yes, I get
and
it.
I know you got to get out of here. That
But there's also, I'm good on time, but there's also, he does more than just score in the playoffs too. He's
he
a
also
great
turns the
passer,
ball over
player,
a lot. Yeah, he turns the ball over a lot. But so
rebounds.
I can find. I think we can find common ground here. You would admit that there was a point in James Harden's career where, because of what we had seen from him during the regular season, you thought that it could translate into the playoffs and he become that tier 1 guy that we all imagined he could be. Like that I'm not making that up, right? Like is that fair to say?
Yes, and he was that guy in the playoffs a couple times in Houston.
Okay. But just wasn't enough consistently for you to consider him to be a tier one guy. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yes.
And to me, that's an indictment of his career. That's a disappointment. That's where I
Yeah.
stand.
I mean, that's why he hasn't gotten to the next level. Absolutely.
So we agree.
The playoffs
Clickbait.
is where
It's not clickbait. We agree. We just agreed.
I agree with you. Yes. And you seem to be more fair than most. What I am coming from is this constant James Harden nag fest is what most of NBA Twitter is all about, where they just try to keep shit black and white, and they won't talk about what we're talking about now is the gray area. People don't want to take the time and talk about the 3 out of 6 great games he had and the 2 or 3 shitty ones. And that's what makes the playoffs great. That's how I determine good playoff performers. Like, averages are way overrated in the playoff because of small sample size. Like, it comes down to, are you having more good games than bad games in the playoffs?
Well, but the sample size argument really doesn't work because he's played in the league.
Oh, he's made the playoffs every year of his career.
He's played in the league.
That's why he's such a great floor raiser and regular season player.
Yes, which then does not translate into the playoffs. So we found some common ground. I again,
and I'm speaking of
Twitter. It's Twitter. It's fine, but like, it's not. I'm not looking for clickbait, man. Like, I don't think it's controversial to say James Harden is a playoff choker. You were gonna say something though. What is that?
Yeah, I like to just talk in terms of most people I have these conversations don't like. I mean, James Harden's the most hated player of all time, in my opinion, or at least today's day and age, because he brings the drama of jumping from team to team, and on top of that, he hasn't won, and on top of that, he has these moments in the playoffs that people like to focus on. And so they just run to these black and white scenarios where he goes to the negative side of the spectrum, where people forget about all the good he's done to get there and all the teammates he's made better. And I'm a person that likes to focus on the good in general. Like, players across the league, I'm a defender. I'm a players guy. I defend most of them. I mean, the only player I've never really not liked, man, to be honest, is Ben Simmons.
Well,
I'll just say it as is.
I don't know that Ben Simmons,
I'm not a huge fan of either, but
I don't think that, because I'm also someone who defends players, but I don't think it makes you less of a players guy to just acknowledge what we all know to be true, and that is you have been far too often lousy in the postseason. And where I challenge you on this is, if you are, I don't know that you're right about him being the most hated player in the league, but let's just say you are. You would have to admit a lot of that he brought on himself. Well, he's, as I mentioned, quit on Houston, and he showed up with the belly, right? Like, he quit on the Nets, like that disaster.
People like hang on to be this strip club guy, and this turns out to be a negative thing. The dude's never committed a crime in his life, and just likes to.
Come on, man. Like, that's not a fair analogy. Like, we're not talking about criminals. We're just saying, in the game of basketball, what we care about, that performance he had in Sacramento the day before he got traded was so embarrassing for him and the Nets. He then goes to Philly. It didn't work out. So my point is, if you're someone who's just bouncing around relationship to relationship to relationship, like, at some point it is fair to question if you're the problem. And that's what James Harden has become, that dude who can't stay in a committed relationship, despite the fact that, yes, he's tremendously talented. It's an issue, and we've got to put some blame on him.
Oh yeah, no, like the Nets one, there's more of the pie that goes to him than not. I mean, I give Kyrie a lot of that pie too for not playing in the playoffs and being there when it really mattered. But yeah, I mean, he gets like 70-80% of that pie for sure, because he could have stuck it out that next year, and shit would have probably been gravy, and those guys probably would have 3 titles by now. I truly believe that. But that never would have happened if he stayed in Philadelphia, okay? Titles never would happen in LA, and that's LA cutting him short too. Houston, They moved on at the right time. They wanted him gone too. He gave him everything. They never put the right team around him there either. But the Nets are the one big asterisk I would agree with, and that a lot of that has to do with COVID too. But what else? Oh, there's
You
one
can,
other point.
can I just challenge something? So
Oh,
we
can I ask you this question? Okay, here's the
okay.
question I was going to ask you real quick. Do you think he's better off legacy wise if he were to stay in Brooklyn and he never won a title, or he stayed in Philly, one of those two teams, and he never ended up winning a title, versus say he wins a title in Cleveland here?
That well, great question. Because I was tempted to say stay. Here's what staying in Brooklyn would have done for him, even if he doesn't win the championship. It eliminates the embarrassment and the criticism that is warranted of you quitting on two more franchises after that. But to spring it forward, because I did want to ask you about like how do you feel about this Cavs team now? If he goes to Cleveland and they win the championship and he's like a key part of it, which I can't imagine they win the title and he's not a key contributor, then it absolutely amplifies his legacy and helps kind of like revamp what people think about him because the Cavs had in the last half decade with Donovan have had all these talented teams that have fallen short. So if he's the difference maker in a conference that I think is wide open, absolutely it helps like rebuild his image.
Yeah, no, I think they have the pieces. I think they need one more bigger wing. They've got way too many guards right now, and Jalen Tyson just isn't quite big enough yet. Well, he's never going to be size wise to be the wing they absolutely need. They need a 6'7" to 6'9" guy that
Yeah.
can defend a little bit. Can they win without getting that piece? Yes, it's just going to be a little harder.
It's gonna
Maybe
be hard to
Larry,
beat those upper echelon East teams without that guy,
right?
especially when your backcourt is gonna be like one of your weaknesses defensively.
Yeah, getting rid of DeAndre Hunter hurts in this situation for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well,
think
Keon
the
Ellis is a good
Knicks,
defender, so
yeah, for sure. No, they have good defenders, and Evan Mobley can guard 1 through 5.
yeah,
Like
Jared Allen, obviously.
they have the pieces. It's just I think they're one shy from a depth piece in case somebody gets injured. And I
Before we, because I want to a couple minutes left here. I want to talk about the East with you. Um, just back to that Celtics series. So yes, he was, and we remember game one, he scored 45. Yo, so they're up 3-2, going back to Philadelphia. He goes 4 of 16. He goes 4 of 16, 5 turnovers. They didn't play game 7 in Boston where they got smacked. I remember it was Mother's Day and it was like difficult for me. I've got my mom and my wife and I'm trying to watch the game. He goes 3 of 11, has 5 turnovers. So you can say they were never going to win with Philly. They could have won that. They should have won that series. There's no reason why they should have been going home after that series. They're up 3-2 and he has his two worst games, which again has become who
yeah, but
James
the
Harden
MVP
is.
was terrible. The MVP of the league, and
Yes.
he Harden, and in the context in this team here, in that team, he was not supposed to be the number one guy. He just turned out to be the number
Uh-huh.
one guy in the
Until it
playoffs.
was time to be the number one guy in game 6 and 7.
He
It
was the
wasn't
number
even
two guy. Embiid was the MVP of the league that year,
he
and
was.
everything
Maybe
was ran
shouldn't
through him.
maybe
Where like
shouldn't have
LA
been.
Clippers right now, you could argue he's been the number one guy in the Clippers
Well, Kawhi, I mean the last since Kawhi has been back, Kawhi has been
a
awesome.
couple games, but
He's going to the All-Star game for a reason. But
that's a joke.
um so this Eastern Conference, I picked the Knicks, and there was a period where it got tumultuous. They had lost 9 of 11 games, and their defense for 2 months was just like one of the worst in the NBA. They were like 27th in defensive efficiency. They have now like weathered the storm. Big game against the Nuggets tonight. Both teams on the back to back. What's your feel for the East?
I'm a Knicks guy, but I think I just there's something about them this year compared to last year. I don't think they have the same juice. I think Cat, I mean, feels like he's I don't know, not as involved, or I mean, something's missing with them. I do think they have plenty of time and the players to get back to that point. I just don't think they have that edge, and they're like the dogs they were last year per se. I
Mhm.
just it's hard to put my finger on it exactly, but
The toughness, right? Like, yeah, they're
yeah,
not that tough, gritty team that we've seen them we saw
correct.
them under Tibbs.
And Philly, obviously, I've never trusted Embiid in the playoffs, but I think they have the personnel to win. It's just, are we ever going to get a full playoffs out of Embiid? Time will tell. And then it comes down to Detroit and Cleveland. Uh, I like Cade in the playoffs. I think he's been pretty dang good so far in the playoffs. It's just I don't think he has the support. I don't think they're a playoff team, and I'm going to stand by that no matter how good of a regular season they're having. So I don't think Detroit has what it takes. So I think comes down to Boston. If Tatum comes back and is even like 60, 70%, yeah, they're probably the favorite. Cleveland, as long as they're fully healthy, I think Cleveland's going to be right in the mix,
Mhm.
and then New York for sure.
But your pick to come out the East is the Knicks,
Yes,
and
right. Gun to my head right now for sure.
you still like OKC out the West. SGA is gonna be out for some time now with this abdomen issue.
Perfect timing with the All Star break.
Yeah.
So I mean, hopefully he only misses a couple of games. I got a future MVP bet on him.
Oh yeah. I mean, he should be fine, but yeah, you still like OKC in the West.
I do, yeah. Unless my Wolves get Giannis.
Oh, you're a Wolves fan.
Die hard, bro. I've been through
Oh,
the.
I'm a Lakers fan.
Oh, dope.
So
I
I
want my
read.
name back and my Laker titles.
I want I want Giannis too. So like Mark Stein's got this report out that the Lakers think that they can go after him this summer if he's still like in Milwaukee. So maybe it'll come down to our teams battling it out for Giannis this
He's
summer.
got he's got to demand Ant over Luca ASAP, or else, of course, you're gonna win if it gets to the summer. But
Yo, Zach, man, this was a lot of fun, bro. I appreciate you coming on the show. I reached out to you last night, and you were just like very, very cool about it. So we'll definitely do this again. We sparred a little bit, but it's all in love, all in passion for the game of basketball. So I really appreciate you, bro.
no, appreciate you having me. Anytime, man. Always down to chop it up, and I'll get you on my show as well.
Absolutely, man. That is Zak Noble, at Zak Noble, ZakNoble. He is at ballislife.com doing his thing. I'm going to stay on with you guys for a couple minutes here just to go through some of the madness that we've had in the NBA. You got Anthony Davis going to Washington. Now, I'll be honest. When I first saw the Shams report come down the TL, I was like, man, you know what? I'm not, and you could call me a bad basketball fan. I'm not a huge proponent of great players going to bad teams. Like part of the juice of like trade deadline and off-season buzz is us getting, you know, some of these stars to go to places we think we can win. So when I see Jaren Jackson Jr. going to a bad team, I'm just like, oh my God. Like this is what we're doing. Jaren Jackson Jr. going to the Jazz. Good for them. And the NBA has to love that, like these teams that have been just mailing it in for seasons are actually going to try to start winning at some point. Same with the Wizards, Trae Young and Anthony Davis, as I mentioned at the top of the show, they become interesting next year. They're going to have a top 5 pick, right? With those guys. So that's going to be a team you watch out for. But there was a little bit of how do I phrase this? Little bit anticlimactic, a little bit of a letdown, but good for those guys getting some great players. A lot of movement happening. We're obviously waiting for the Giannis stuff. Is he going to get dealt? Sounds like the Knicks are on the outside looking in, just because it's too difficult for them to have this type of a trade happen right now. it becomes a lot easier when they can get to an off season, have two more first round picks they can add to this deal. And I think a lot of Knick fans want to see this team go into the playoffs with the horses that they have and see what they can do. Like, let's give it one shot. And if it doesn't work out, at least there is a contingency plan. The problem is, listen, maybe this is just me looking at it through the lens of the Lakers, but all these other teams get involved in the offseason, competing for Giannis's services. Now, I guess Giannis can put pressure and say, I'm only re signing with this team. But if you're the Lakers or if you're Miami and you think that you are an attractive destination because of your stability, because of where you are, and because of your history of winning, push all your chips in and say, all right, cool, come through. We'll try to do the Kawhi Raptors thing, get a championship out of you. And if you bolt, it's fine because we won the title anyway. But we don't really think you're going to bolt. We don't really think that if you come to us, if you're the Lakers and you're playing alongside Luka, you're leaving in free agency. So it should be fun, man. It should be a lot of fun. I don't think Giannis is getting traded. I don't think that's happening. I think he is going to stay put, but it's been a busy, very active trade deadline. I'm fascinated by the James Harden going to Cleveland thing. Because look, I just spent 30 minutes with Zach ripping him and his playoff performances, and rightfully so. But it's fascinating because I do think the Cavs got better. Now, there's a hard ceiling to how good the Cavs can be because of the James Harden element. But if Donovan's cooking and Evan Mobley is healthy, Jared Allen, who's been a playoff shrinker, low key, if those guys can play to their level, Harden's got a chance to rewrite his image, man. He's got a real shot at changing the narrative. If he goes to Cleveland and helps that Cavs team that for years has underachieved just get to the finals, man, that is a legacy builder, a legacy enhancer for him. And I didn't even mention this with Zach. Like, I don't think Harden's the most hated player ever. That he tends to believe that. Part of it too is not aesthetically pleasing. Like all of the flopping and kicking your leg out, the being rewarded by being a foul merchant never sat right with not just like ethical hoops fans, but anyone who was not a Rockets fan watching James Harden do that night in and night out was just appalled by that. And we're just looking at our TV screens wondering how the hell does this officiating crew fall for his theatrics every single night. But again, this version of James Harden, who is a diminished but still really good player, has an opportunity to come on here in Cleveland and change the perspective. Because now the Cavs are a player in the East. You take a look at the standings right now, and I'll pull it up for y'all. The Cavs, sort of a disappointing showing so far. A lot of that was, injury related. And we can blow it up for you here. They've got a chance to make some noise here in the Eastern Conference, right? I'm not a believer in them just because of the whole Harden stuff. But at 30-21, they're the 5 seed. So they're 3 games back of the 2 seed. They're within striking distance. No one's catching Detroit. Look at the Knicks. They're on a 7-game win streak, and they're still 6 games behind the Pistons. That's how unbelievable the Pistons have been this year. But the Cavs do have a chance to get as high as 2. I don't think they will, but it's on the table. They can get as high as 2. They can be the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. And so that would mean a second round date with the Knicks. It's possible. I don't trust James Harden, but it is certainly possible. If you guys want to weigh in the chat, hit me up in the comments before we get on out of here. Follow me at Ty D Butler. I am on Twitter, X, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Ty D Butler. I hop on here a couple of times a week. We are locked into the NBA trade deadline. So anything major happens, I'll be on here. Hit me up at Ty D Butler. And also, not just basketball, y'all. I talk everything, man. We'll get into baseball. Baseball season's right around the corner. Obviously got the Super Bowl on Sunday, not a ton of juice. So the NBA is kind of capitalizing off of the non-Super Bowl headlines and the lack of buzz with all these trades. But it's been fun so far. Harden's on the Cavs. Anthony Davis is on the Wizards. What a disaster for Dallas. But I guess they can now officially turn the page and try to build around Cooper Flag. Does anyone think the Western Conference is wide open? Oklahoma City, the NBA is hard, like in evaluating the defending champion because you just give them the benefit of the doubt, especially when they're the 1 seed. Like they're 40-11. There was a period of time where we asked ourselves, could the Thunder set the wins record? Now we were quickly proven wrong, but every year around this time, it feels like the team that won the year before is going to repeat. Last year, we were saying that about the Celtics. The year before that, we were saying that about the Nuggets. Different with the Warriors because that was kind of an older team, but said that about the Bucks the year before. They're going to repeat. Said that about the Lakers the year before, and probably could have the Bucks and the Lakers if not for injuries. But in the Celtics, that wasn't about injuries last year. The Knicks just beat them handedly. Could have repeated if they didn't blow 20-point leads in back-to-back games. But this is around the time where you start to feel like the defending champion, like no one's beating them. But we've seen over the last half decade, there's a reason why we don't have back-to-back champions. And it's not just the last half decade, since 17 and 18 when the Warriors went back-to-back. There's a reason why you don't have the back-to-back champions. It's really hard to repeat. And I know that sounds like obvious, but the Western Conference right now, yes, looks like it's OKC's to lose, but don't sleep on the Spurs. Jokic is back. Don't sleep on the Nuggets. And remember, Oklahoma City in the playoffs last year did go 7 games twice. 2 times they went 7 games. And you could argue injuries were the reason why they won those 7-game series. Now, I don't want to discredit the Thunder because they deserve to be the champions. They were the best team in the regular season. They were the best team in the playoffs. But again, they went to 7-game series twice, and a legitimate take to have is those 7-game series could have gone a lot differently had injuries not taken place. Right, Aaron Gordon in that game 7, OKC blew him out, but Aaron Gordon hurts his hamstring in the finals. Right, the Tyrese Halliburton, he was exploding before his Achilles exploded, and so it's going to be a fun second half of the year. We'll see what happens. We still have 21 hours left until we hit the trade deadline in the NBA. I do want to, before we get on out of here, once again plug and I appreciate you guys joining the stream here. Really appreciate y'all. Follow me, as I said, on my social media handles at Ty D Butler. I want to plug this. I'm running the New York City half marathon I'm running a half marathon next month, and I am teaming up with Sips and Kicks, a foundation that assists kids, underprivileged kids, with a healthy nutrition and getting them active and engaged and involved in sports. So if you guys go to my Twitter profile, you can find the link to the fundraiser. Any donation is welcome. Nothing is too small. So if you guys want to help a worthy cause, 2026 United New York City Half Marathon, Sips and Kicks Foundation, I am raising money on behalf of them. So help me get my goal. Go to my link on my Twitter profile. It is pinned to my account. So any donation would be recommended and would be appreciated. I appreciate you guys for joining the stream. I'll be back tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter so you can see that I'm online, which I will be at the trade deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ty Butler Show at Ty D Butler, where you can find me. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your evening. Barring anything dramatic happening, I will talk to y'all tomorrow. But if we get some crazy news, I will be back to talk about it with you guys. So thank you. Peace and love.